Hey mamas, Alexandria here, 34-year-old toddler mom, therapist, and gym rat. I lost nearly 40 pounds postpartum. I shared my story recently here on the channel, so I'll link that video for you in case you want to go and check it out, see what I'm all about and how the heck I got here in the first place. But one of the things that I know as moms and as busy women in general that we don't have a lot of is extra time. And I think that's one of the obstacles in staying healthy is that it feels like it requires a bigger time commitment than we have. So today I want to share with you 5 ways to be more efficient in your weight loss journey or in your health journey or whatever you want to call this so that you can make the most of the time that you do have. So if you're ready, let's do it. Let's do this. No? Okay. All right, let's go. One of the most efficient things that you can do on your weight loss journey is combine strength training and cardio. Now, the reason that we do this, I've talked about this before on the channel, but if you're new here, you might not know this already. I'm a big proponent of strength training and all of the awesome benefits, mostly because it increases your basal metabolic rate. We've talked about this a bunch. I'm sorry, I'm going to go over it again, but here we are. It increases your basal metabolic rate. But we also want to combine that with some form of cardiovascular work to improve our overall health. I'm sorry, my laptop sounds like it's about to take off and explode. So you might be hearing that and I'm sorry. I don't know how to make it not sound like it's exploding. It just, I don't know. Anyway, but the other piece is the cardiovascular component, right? We want to make sure that we are improving our cardiovascular. That's also going to help us burn more calories. And a lot of people will say, well, cardio, right? But cardio is not the most efficient way, but a combination between strength training and cardio can be. Now, HIIT, H-I-I-T, HIIT, high intensity interval training, is one of the most effective types of cardiovascular workouts in terms of getting the most bang for your buck. And like I said, today I'm going to share with you the most efficient things. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do all of these things in combination all the time. But if you're trying to be the most efficient, you're going to get a more efficient cardio workout out of, a 15 or 20 minute HIIT workout as opposed to just like a traditional cardio workout where you might be dancing or something. So that's just something to keep in mind. But if HIIT or things like that are too intimidating for you, don't start there. Again, it's like I've mentioned in previous videos, if that's not something that you're going to be willing to do, then start somewhere else. And once you've built the habits, once you have the discipline, then it won't matter so much what kind you're doing. What kind you're doing, as long as you're doing it. So if HIIT is intimidating for you, do something else instead. As long as you are combining the strength training with some cardio components. So what this might look like for you is approximately 60 minutes. So what this might look like for you is approximately 60 minutes of cardio a week and you're lifting. For me, I work out 5 days a week. And so for me, I strength train 4 of those days, and then 1 of those is my cardio day. And so for me, it really looks like 30 minutes of cardio with 4 days of strength training. But every person is different and every body style is different. You might notice that as you start to train certain things, you'll notice your body start to change and adapt. And so that might mean that you have to up the intensity on the cardio. Because if you're doing some intense cardio, you're really going to be sweating, as opposed to maybe you're doing an arm day where you're doing some intense lifting in your shoulders or arms or chest or whatever. You might not be as sweaty or as tired on those days. So keep that in mind. Those days might be a day to incorporate some of that lower intensity cardio. The next thing is prioritizing your protein. Say it with me for all the people in the back. I told you I wasn't going to shut up about it. The reason prioritizing your protein is such an efficient thing is because it helps to repair the muscles from the tears that you're doing when you're doing your strength training. Now, I want to be clear. I want to go back for just a second to strength training. And when I talk about strength training, I do mean lifting weights, but if you don't have access to weights, you can certainly use things like bands or makeshift stuff at home, lifting heavy water bottles, cans, grocery bag, work with what you've got. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of expensive equipment to strength train. You can get creative with it. You can lift your toddler. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Please don't do that unless they think it's funny. Although I do tease that some days, like, I get extra workouts when my son wants to be like lifted up in the air. I'm like, I'm getting some extra arm workout in today because that's how it feels. He's getting heavy, y'all. He's like 30 something pounds, so that's a workout. So I say all that to say, when I'm talking about strength training, sure, you can go to the gym, you can lift weights, you can buy weights to have at home, but you can also use things like bands or makeshift things that you have at home. So keep that in mind and don't let that discourage you from doing strength training. I'll link some bands from Amazon. They're, again, not affiliated. Hi, Amazon, if you want to give me some affiliate links, that'd be super. But I'll link some in case you want some good quality bands. But bands just generally you can work with for longer and they're cheaper. But I highly recommend getting some weights at some point if you're able to do that and your budget allows you to do so. The task at hand, prioritizing your protein. The reason that's so important is because when you are strength training, you're building those muscles and you're making the repairs to your muscles so that they can actually grow. The other piece of it is that if you're living in a calorie budget, it's keeping you full for longer because protein takes longer to digest in the body, and it also takes a longer time for you to like burn through that storage. And it's also it's more difficult to convert into fat as opposed to carbohydrates and fat. Like, fat converts straight to fat, obviously. Carbohydrates are easier to convert into fat, but protein is harder to convert into fat. And so that's part of the reason why it keeps you full for longer, but also is the most effective or efficient way to eat, is because it's repairing those muscles and keeping you full. So the recommendation for protein is 0.08 grams of lean body mass. So if you're already at your ideal weight, you can utilize this. But if you are on a journey and you're still trying to get to an ideal weight, you could shoot for 1 centimeter of height per gram of protein. Or if you want to make it even more simplified, just shoot for 100 grams of protein, because most people could use at least 100 grams of protein a day. So just shoot for that and see what you're eating already, because I think a lot of people think they get more protein than they do. And sometimes you do have to end up supplementing with some protein shakes or some protein bars or things like that. And that's okay too, but you want to make sure that you're diversifying the types of protein that you're eating. You're wanting to get your chicken, and I will link, or I will list here somewhere on the screen or something or down below, a list of high protein foods for you so you don't just feel like you have to drink protein shakes. So hopefully that will be helpful for you guys, but I'll put some sort of resource on the screen or in the description bar for you, so that should help you out. Another technique that can make your weight loss journey more efficient is by using NEAT. So non-exercise activity thermogenesis. I had to look that one up. So basically the idea of things like steps, things that your body can do to keep you moving while not having to use any sort of additional brain power. So you hear lots of people talk about steps and the impact of steps. It sounds like, from what I've been reading, that 8,000 steps is sort of like the magic number, and anything beyond that is just like gravy. And it might be fun for me to do a little experiment and do 10,000 steps for a week or a month. Let me know if you guys want me to try that, just to see what kind of impacts that it will have on me, because I'm a little curious. But this is a great opportunity to take your kids for a walk, right? Maybe you take them for a walk, they walk, or they're in the stroller and you're walking. Or maybe this is a good opportunity when they're at the playground that you're like walking around as they go. Those are all different kinds of ways to incorporate NEAT. And this can be done in kind of sneaky ways, right? So you can sneak some of this in, like I said, while they're at the park, or, taking them on walks outside. Or you could even sneak it in while you're on a work meeting if you're a mom that works from home, or whatever the case may be. Whoa, okay, I got very bright all of a sudden. The sun decided to come out. So hopefully I'm not too bright. Those are great opportunities to sneak those sort of neat activities in and help you be more efficient in your weight loss. Another way to be most efficient is by combining the calorie budget with the strength training and cardio. So you can certainly, and as I mentioned in my own video, you can certainly conquer one thing at a time. If doing both of those things at the same time feels like way too overstimulating for you and like way too much for you to tackle at one time, that is a-okay, and you can do it one thing at a time and you will get there. But we're talking about efficiency today. We're talking about how to be the most effective in the fastest amount of time, and if you combine those things, it will be more efficient for you. So rather than thinking about a calorie budget for the day, you can also think about it in the concept of like a weekly calorie goal. So that way you don't have to feel so restricted in the days that you exercise versus the days that you don't, right? Because the likelihood is that if you are lifting or doing intense cardio, you're going to be more hungry than on a rest day. And so if you take your calorie total for the week and then you split it up amongst those 7 days, rather than focusing on like, oh, well, I have to get to X number of calories today, but I'm not that hungry, or I'm really hungry today, but I only have X number of calories in my budget. If you're thinking across like a weekly span, then you can say, okay, well, on training day, I trained really hard today and I'm extra hungry because it's leg day. Let me eat, an additional couple hundred calories, and I'll eat less calories tomorrow on rest day. I'll eat a couple hundred less calories on rest day tomorrow. Does that make sense? So again, I'm not saying that you have to do this all at the same time, and if it feels too intimidating, then don't. But the whole idea of this video in particular is basically focusing on what's efficient and what's going to get you to the results the fastest. But I want to be clear. I want to be clear that losing weight fast is not the answer, okay? Getting to your goal faster is not necessarily the answer if you're not able to sustain what you've got going on. So keep that in mind. That's why I get really frustrated, and I could make a whole video on this, and maybe I will, we'll see. That's why I get so frustrated seeing like, well, I lost 30 pounds in like 3 weeks. Well, why did we need to do that in 3 weeks? If it is something that you can sustain, that will be your most effective. If it takes you 6 months, if it takes you 2 years, like there's not a time limit on getting to this healthier version of you. So don't put yourself in this box of like, oh, well, Susie lost 30 pounds in 3 months. Why aren't I losing 30 pounds in 3 months? Realistic weight loss takes time, and sustainable weight loss takes time. For example, I think the recommendation is between 1 to 2 pounds per week maximum for healthy weight loss. Anything else goes above and beyond that is probably not likely to be as sustainable. So keep that in mind, please, as we talk about this, because I see y'all, I get it, I do. I totally get you want to be at your ideal weight yesterday. I get that. I totally do. I empathize with the cause. But I also know that when we do things too fast, that's when things get off the rails and we get overwhelmed and then we quit and then we're back where we started. So let's not do that. Okay? Cool. And the last thing I want to say is that consistency is efficient. So what I mean by that is being consistent with your workouts, being consistent with putting the good foods in your body. All of that is efficient in terms of losing weight and getting to the goals that you want to see. Because if you're consistent, you're going to build those habits, and that's going to sustain you. That's that piece that we talked about before of having this, sorry, my brain stopped working for a second. That is the piece of discipline that we talked about in an earlier video. Consistency creates that discipline for you so that you don't have to be in the mood to work out. Discipline trumps the idea of being motivated. Motivated is just an emotion, and it is fleeting. So if we can be consistent, we're building that habit, we're building the discipline. Like for example, yesterday was leg day, okay? I did not want to work out yesterday, but I did anyway. Why? Because that's what I do. I am the person that does leg day, typically on Monday, but it depends on which program I'm doing. I am the person who lifts weights. I am the person who exercises while my son takes his nap. It's who I am as a person now. And because of that, even though I didn't feel like working out yesterday and my caffeine was just not hitting right, it just wasn't. But I did it anyway. And you can do the same thing because you are strong and you are powerful and you got this. So that's it, friends. Those are some of my tips for being the most efficient in your weight loss journey. And I hope that it was helpful for you guys. And if it was, please let me know your thoughts. And YouTube should be recommending something to you in case you want to watch more from me. So somewhere along the screen here, there should be more video for you to watch. So thank you for your time, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.